Well, looks like Luigi managed to get himself his nice little cozy bed, so able to actually able to realize that he's actually sleeping all of a sudden. Hopefully he might as well dream about by the forms of the celebration for the release of Luigi's Mansion 3 for the Nintendo Switch at some point in October this year. Well, at least if depending on the forms of some other leaks, which trust me, there are everywhere at this point right about now. But let me classify for you something though, Luigi, quickly. This is no time for your nappies, or in this case by the forms of no time for sleeping, so let's get back into this business. Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I am Piglet here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Super Luigi Galaxy for the Nintendo Wii / Nintendo Wii U as a digital download software as far as I'm concerned in the Super Mario Galaxy game. So last time we actually did manage to collect several more of those power stars by able to get things started on the bedroom dome. And today for this episode is the fact that we're about to continue on and hopefully grab some more power stars on the bedroom dome by simply going back into Freeze Flame Galaxy and able to do Hot and Cold Collide missions. Even then though, I think this will be the final time we're going to be seeing this particular platforming section every once in a while. And I believe fundamentally also is the fact that this might be the final time we're going to be seeing the lava side on the forms of this particular stage. Until, Melty Modern Galaxy, until after that. Well, before that anyway, until whenever we get to the Golden Dome. But even then though, that's as far as I can most likely aware of, so... Yeah, today was actually forms of the 20th of May in 2019, so even then, tomorrow, that Team Sonic Racing will be on its way for the Nintendo Switch, and PlayStation 4 which shall be releasing tomorrow, as I said before, and also the same applies for the Xbox One version, and I'm presuming PC Steam version as well, even though I might as well forget, but even then though, that's as far as I can most likely aware of, so... But even then, I'm really looking forward to able to actually just to try out Team Sonic Racing at long last. After about, a wait of hiatus for able to actually just wait for about a year since when it first announced. And then until when it gets to the point until, that game did immediately got delayed. During the likes of it at the very end of the year. So they delayed it until 2019 to able to actually make it a little bit more nice and polished. Especially noticeable with how the fact that how the... just able to actually fix something. So even then though, that's as far as I can go. And as far as I'm aware, when it comes to Team Sonic Racing, in terms of like reviews, especially noticeable on critics and especially noticeable on fans alike, very similar to the forms of how it does on Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing back in 2010, and Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed for 2012, and it may look like they got themselves a somewhat of a slightly similar review score as from last time, because Sumo Digital, as far as I'm aware, did that amazingly a good job, especially noticeable with how the fact that, well, they once again nailed it with the forms of like some reviews and success alike. So even then though, well, if all that matters though is the fact that how well the sales doing, but even then though, I haven't really looked upon the actual data file, but even then though, I haven't really played the game for myself just yet, until, tomorrow that I'm actually going to be demonstrating on how to, just trying to able to play this on my own time on the PlayStation 4, and to be expected just to use the Nintendo Switch version as a Let's Play channel. So even then though, excuse me about that. If you probably did not know already, I actually did manage to got something in my throat there, so I must admit that I do apologize for that. So even then though, let's get this thing to it with the forms of this particular section right there. So, whoa, that was really close. But I digress. And then after this, this mission is done, especially noticeable with Freeze Flame Galaxy as a result, I think it's about time to able to deal with Dusty Dawn Galaxy afterwards next. So even then though, I'm quite surprised we're almost at the towards the end of the bedroom dome already. And then after all that, then we can able to move on to the engine room, which fundamentally enough though, it should be a lot more fun, especially noticeable with how the fact that, well, I'm pretty sure we're almost nearly towards the end. When it comes to Frank's the Comment selections, is the fact that, well, obviously we've almost completely finished with Fast Foe Galaxy, and especially noticeable with the Cosmic Comet Galaxy, and especially noticeable with, let's just say, almost towards at the very end point with the Speedy Comet, and especially noticeable with the Daredevil Comet, but even then though, and the rest will be for the Purple Comet until in the future. So, yeah, with that being said, let's go inside the forms of Dusty Dawn Galaxy, and we'll get some more power stars in the process. See, Fernando, onwards to, soaring on the desert winds. So, that's as far as I can say about it here. So, there's quite a few things that's worth mentioning, though. Not to mention with all the, the Team Sonic Racing will be releasing tomorrow, actually, from Worldwide and all that stuff, for physical copies of the game. And, also during today, especially those of all of you able to actually become a Brony fandom, like myself included, is that My Little Pony sorry, I can't speak today, because again, do apologize if my throat has actually got a little bit more dried up again, but even though it's all the next video, especially notable for my next set of videos of Klonoa Daughter Phantomile, hopefully I shall be able to actually just to make my throat a little bit more slightly better. But for now, yeah, as I said before, with the forms of the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic fan, like myself included, especially of the old Stoa Brony and stuff, recently, about the fact that tomorrow, for the UK version anyway, that Season 6 will able to get ourselves a DVD release. In this case, a complete set. So, why do I do that? I shouldn't do the backflip. Oh, I'm stupid. Let's try this again. Thankfully though, the checkpoint is right there. So even then though, or in this case, the respawning point. So, that's a cool thing to know, but even then though, yeah. So anyways though, and as far as I can say, especially I've now managed to finally got it until today for My Little Pony Friendship is Magic Season 6 complete DVD set, in the UK anyway. It seems more accurately though, we actually got all the episodes listed on the forms of that particular DVD set, which is good. And even then though, that because, unlike in Season 4, there seems to be missing one episode in particular, which is bad, which still have no idea why they're missing out on that one episode entirely, but either way though, that's as far as I'm most likely, just ranting. But I digress. So yeah, speaking of such, my next DVD box set I need to go after next, and that's the forms of Season 7. So even then though, I was just like, okay, only 3 more complete seasons left before the entire collection of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic will be done until for a very long time. Especially, that not to mention though, let's not forget about the forms of that particular special short film as well, or in this case a special long 44-minute episode potentially, and that was the forms of Rainbow Road Trip, or Road Trip I should say. And I believe it's going to due out in June at some point in this summer, see Fernando, specifically on June. See Fernando, really looking forward to see how that turns out, especially noticeable because of how the fact that ever since in Toy Fair 2019, which just managed to make it happen in during recently, a couple of days ago, and they seemed able to show off some of these interesting toys lineup. Like for instance, Princess Twilight Sparkle got herself the rainbow wings. So, and again, I do apologize with my pronunciation errors because my throat is actually significantly dried up during the likes of it today. Because as far as I'm aware, it might be not as hot today, but even then though, that is just that my room is actually really bursting hot at the moment, because even then I really need to be able to get myself my juice or drink, and so I'm able to actually just refresh my voice and stuff like that. So, Luigi, stop. Okay, let's try it. Are you for real? Okay, let's try this. Oh, Luigi, stop. Don't you fall off, Waluigi. Well, at least as far as I'm most likely concerned about it. Alright, so far so good anyway. Let's just go ahead and, oh, God! Oh, dang it! Oh, wait. Okay. Whew. Jeez, that scared me. But I digress. So, let's try this one again. So anyways though, another thing I want to talk about this actually is the fact that, do you remember I said this before? Luigi, stop hitting the ceiling! Oh, Jesus Christ, you've been like Waluigi or... forget it. But I digress. So let's go ahead and do a nice little gentle backflip, and hopefully not too much any pressure. Well, for now anyway though. Oh, okay. It looks like, for some reason, my wall jumps doesn't seem to register with me today. But I'm guessing it's because they really don't like me doing backflips all the time. Which it might be... Ah! I can't believe what just happened. That did not just happen. Ah, that was really dumb of me. I accidentally managed to perform a ground pound whenever I was trying to do a mid-air jump, or in this case, the forms of that backflip jump. Jesus Christ, I cannot believe I just died right there. So, that will be my fault though right there, especially how that knockback is still a thing whenever I just managed to get hit by that chicken bomb. So, again, I don't know exactly what these enemies are, but even then, I must admit that I do apologize with the forms of that particular enemy known, unknowing names and stuff like that. Excuse me. And, yeah, that's as far as I can say about it. So, anyways though, as I was saying, a few things I want to explain about this actually also is that, do you remember as I said before about the fact that I was originally trying to get the Castlevania Anniversary Collection on the PlayStation 4 until almost close to Halloween and stuff, and during October. And it turns out I managed to able to decide to change that decision because I've recently managed to got that compilation and during yesterday. So even then though, before I've played the actual compilation, for the first time ever, especially notable that I can finally able to try out Castlevania Bloodlines for the very first time on the Sega Genesis / Sega Mega Drive, even though that particular original cartridge-only version of that game is disgustingly expensive, which is still usually a majorly thing, but even then though, as far as I've played the Castlevania Bloodlines, aka Castlevania The New Generation for Europe, so far I do actually pretty enjoy it, but even then, the graphics do look absolutely looks gorgeous, especially on the 16-bit console. But even though, despite the fact that it's only for emulated on the forms of the PlayStation 4, but despite the fact that I can easily just manage to play the 2D Castlevania games pretty easily, thanks to the really good D-pad for the PlayStation 4 controller. Let's just say that much until now, because you know, with 2D platforming, that PlayStation controller has always been a good thing. Like, usually it's always that the far left side of the actual controller itself. So that's pretty cool stuff. And of course, we got a Hungry Lumber right there. So even then, we'll save that. We'll save him until later down the road, especially noticeable in the next video, because if you can tell with the forms of the actual timeline, especially noticeable for this video anyway, this might actually be one of the shortest videos of the bunch. So, even though, let's hop on to the forms of blasting through the sand. So, hopefully though, we can able to actually get ourselves the final green star in the process too. Now here's the thing, I was going to do something completely different when it comes to the forms of like some other different orders for a change, although I'll explain more on that later. But for now, let's get into the forms of the other discussions I can make, also actually just to announce to you guys about something, is that recently that Sega themselves managed to able to announce there's going to be another 10 game set of the forms of Sega Mega Drive Classic Mini console that's always been added. And this time around though, we got ourselves, you know, the usual 10 games, so even then, only 10 more games to go until the forms of a grand total of 40 games pre-installed. So even then, I'm really looking forward to the actual next set of lineups of titles like this. So even then, for the time being, with the forms of like games number 21 through 30, these all include Animal Crossing, because that was a Nintendo's product. So, but anyways though, so these are the games they actually did announce so far. For the next 10 games has been announced for the Sega Mega Drive Mini, and those are Alex Kidd and in the Enchanted Castle, and also Beyond Oasis, Ghouls and Ghosts, and Golden Axe, the original game, and Phantasy Star 4, Street Fighter 2 Special Championship Edition by the forms of the Capcom game, and Mega Man The Wily Wars, which that game was also extremely expensive on the original cartridge formation, unless if you're trying to purchase the reproductioning version of that particular compilation or something like that. But even then though, that I really cannot believe that Mega Man The Wily Wars is actually now finally added onto the Sega Mega Drive Classic Mini. Although the only game I was really hoping for, and that was the forms of Toy Story for the Mega Drive, and especially noticeable with Mickey Mania, because these are the only games I managed to go with the original cartridge for. But if it doesn't include those, then I'm actually going to pass on the actual Mega Drive Mini. Unless there is Mega Man The Wily Wars, which is basically a compilation of Well, essentially, it's a bit like Super Mario All-Stars, but with Mega Man, is the fact that you got 3 Mega Man titles, most notably Mega Man's 1, 2, and 3, with remade ground up by simply able to actually just to remake those onto a 16-bit console with 16-bit music, but honestly, after I played through Mega Man's 1, 2, and 3, being the likes of the Mega Man Marathon last year, I realized about the fact that with Mega Man The Wily Wars, it's not really the ideal way of playing the original trilogy to begin with, because it does have some issues, which some people seem to may appreciate it, like, most of the 8-bit music has been replaced as the 16-bit music of the original 3 games. And I think most songs are most likely inferior to the ones of the original trilogy, but even then I do like the Top Man music in 16-bit though, so don't get me wrong for that. But in Mega Man 2 doesn't have 2 difficulties like normal and difficult mode, but the only mode you can only play what we know as is difficult mode, meaning that you know how the fact that we've already tackled for that game before and last year. Actually, I'll get into more details onto that later. But for now, you've managed to recover all of the green power stars and restore the green launch star. And that way we can unlock the next 3 galaxies from here. Even I don't know what's waiting for you out there beyond the green launch star. In this case, that will lead us to the Trials of Galaxies, just like the forms of how it does it from last time, so there's nothing really much to say about it here. So, anyways though, so yeah, with that being said, and also we got ourselves another letter right there, and I believe this will be the final time to see that the twin Luigi managed to send our letter to us. See, Venendo. But unfortunately though, we might as well able to, actually I might as well do that just about right about now, just to get this over with and done with. And then hopefully we'll able to get back into Dusty Dawn Galaxy to able to collect. I would say we might as well grab about, I would say 2 power stars on that particular stage, most notably with blasting through the sand, and especially noticeable with the secret power star on the forms of, you know, sand-baked sandcastle mission. See if Venendo, hopefully we might as well able to check things going. See if Venendo. Yeah, because as far as I'm aware, it's the fact that, you know with how difficult mode it actually plays out, whenever you're trying to face off against with Metal Man, that, you can able to actually just able to, like, well, you don't instantly kill, Blade Man, or in this case, Metal Man, on the Mega Man 2 game, and, if you manage to use the Metal Blade on him, then it instantly kills him on normal mode, but on difficult mode, then you can only just take him out like 2 hits. So, but even then though, and also if I can tell, that Mega Man The Wily Wars does have a lot of slowdown occurrence, which even then though, that it's alright versions of the game, at least to me though anyway, but I think to me the classic games have always been so much more definitive way playing it. But there's one credit though that I will give you know, Wily Wars some credit though, and that was the forms of Wily's Tower, which, you know, it only happens if you manage to play all 3 Mega Man games in one save file, and it easily is one of the coolest modes ever. So even then, that way you can able to access to both, you know, Mega Man 1, 2, and 3, Robot Master weapons, and especially noticeable with, access to the forms of Rush Jet, and especially noticeable with, Rush Marine, and especially noticeable with Rush Coil. So even then, it's a pretty sweet stuff. But unfortunately though, that the original Mega Drive cartridge-only version of the game is actually really expensive though, because I'm assuming because of how that game doesn't sell well, but even then though, there might be some little bit more of a possibilities, which I'm thankfully though, Sega did manage to add that onto the Classics Mini of the Sega Mega Drive. Ow, ow, ow. Oh, hey me. I hit because of that big scary bug. Let's get the power star and go home. But then again, this is actually the final time we're going to be seeing Twin Luigi manage to pull out a power star for us. Now, see Venendo, let us go ahead and leave the forms of, you know, Honey Hive Kingdom for now on though. Well, in terms of Honey Hive Galaxy, because, you know, we're able to approach onto that stage again for the final time until the Purple Comet Challenge missions. So, hopefully though, everything else will be good to go. See Venendo, Luigi in the Honey Hive Kingdom. So yes. But I digress, so let's go ahead and head back to Dusty Dawn Galaxy and able to, what else, get some more power stars in the process. So, Anyways though, another game they didn't manage to add it in with the forms of the Sega Mega Drive Mini, that is of course another Sonic game that's been listed, and that was the forms of Sonic Spinball. And also there is Vector Man, the original game, and especially, finally, there is the forms of Wonder Boy in Monster World. So, a pretty interesting list so far, but even then though, as I said before, we've only got the final 10 games left until the entire games list will be fully completed, especially with the, the Sega Mega Drive Mini will be all sorted and ready to be released at some point during the likes of in September. So, that should be interesting and fun. See, even then though, that way you could able to tell for that particular point right there. So, yeah, just saying. And as far as I can tell, when it comes to other news and updates in here and there, I don't think there's anything else too much, apart from the fact that, well, there's one little minor differences between the forms of the Nintendo Switch version of Team Sonic Racing as opposed to the forms of the Xbox One, and especially noticeable with the PlayStation 4 release of the game as well, is that similar to the forms of how it does it on Sonic Forces back in 2017, that normally on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions of Sonic Forces, that game usually runs at 60 frames per second, whilst on the Switch version mostly runs at 30 frames per second. It feels like the same thing for how it does it recently in Team Sonic Racing, I found out. It's because, well, you know how the fact that, well, as I said before, with the different frame rates and stuff like that, or in this case by the forms of like frames per second stuff, that usually on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One version of Team Sonic Racing, those two versions of the game manage to still run at 60 frames per second, which is always pretty swell, especially noticeable that I'm going to be playing through the PlayStation 4 version on my own time. As I said this countless amount of times. And then on the Switch version, we'll save that up for a Let's Play channel until, you know, next year at some point. So even then though, well, all depending because of how the fact that there are some other games we'd love to able to tackle through. Well, some are new and some are still remade Let's Plays. So even then though, that could be some conception. So, but I digress. So, and on the Switch version of Team Sonic Racing, it's gone down to 30 frames per second. Because if you looked up on Game Explain video of the forms of Team Sonic Racing comparison, he did manage to point things out with some different frame rate differences between, you know, the PlayStation 4 and especially noticeable with the Nintendo Switch version. So that, yeah, it's remarkably similar to the forms of how it does it on, you know, Sonic Forces back in 2017, where normally in, you know, PS4 and Xbox One versions, they always have like the best frames per second, but for some reason on Nintendo's part, they managed to able to tone it down into 30 FPS. So it seems odd to me, but even then, that's as far as I can most likely aware of. And I really don't mind able to actually stuck in with 30 frames per second again, just like it evolves with how it does it on the original Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, and especially noticeable with Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, because in those two games, on my Xbox 360 versions of these two duology of Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing duology series, that those two games did manage to run on 30 frames per second on mostly other console versions, except the PC version, which usually runs at 60 frames per second, which again, I'm not exactly a hardcore PC game or anything. The only time I got the PC game is, of course, Sonic Mega Collection Plus, which I managed to got this for a really cheap price, even therefore for about £1 or so, which is not that bad actually. So even then though, that despite the fact that that particular game is now basically used, and I still haven't got access to it on my PC computer. I think it's most notably because it actually has itself like a Appanusa type of program I need to acquire it, but even then I haven't really exactly what that was meant to be. At least to me though anyway. So even then, I think that's as far as I can usually mention about the news announcements for this point today, folks, because even then, we've now finally got ourselves the Castlevania Anniversary Collection, and I believe we actually got every single of those classic Castlevania games at this point. So even then, well, apart from the fact that we actually got ourselves Kid Dracula with it, so even then, I'm guessing the only Castlevania games I was most likely concerning of getting left is, you know, Haunted Castle, which is actually like an arcade Castlevania game-like, and especially noticeable with Castlevania Chronicles for the PlayStation, which I don't know how much that game was actually going to cost about usually, and even then I might as well find this out and join whenever I, you know, just manage to research on it. I will mention more on that whenever I get back into Klonoa, Daughter Phantom Isle during tomorrow. So, anyways though, so Sun-Baked Sandcastle, in this case the next mission in, you know, Dusty Dawn Galaxy. So, yeah, that's as far as I can say about this point, folks. So even then, though, that, once again, as I said before, since the very beginning of the video, about the fact that, you know, with Luigi's Mansion 3 will be on its way on Nintendo Switch at some point in this year, which I don't know exactly, it's going to be like in sometime in October at some point, which I'm really hoping that will be the case. But even then, once again, that much like it informs of how it does it from last year, that E3 leaks are still usually present here. Especially noticeable how the fact that some of these rumors are usually fake, and especially noticeable about the fact that rumors are considerably leaked, which I personally don't agree to these particular stuff. Like, for instance, Fortnite sequels, and I was like, no way that's gonna announce those, because even then though that, you know, they keep on adding some more updates for Fortnite as it is. So even then though, I think one game might be enough for the time, and especially noticeable with how the fact that I believe they did somewhat mention about the forms of the HD remake of the Philips CDI games, which is definitely not true, because obviously they're just simply just, you know, pretty bad games on Philips CDI game back in the day, because, well, I still have these two games to be very unbelievably bad on specifically the Zelda games on Philips CDI, which even then, that's how the original Zelda experience, even for Nintendo's version of the Legend of Zelda games, are so popular. And that's why I'm really looking forward to, you know, Link's Awakening remake still. So even then, that way I can able to actually play that game on the go, much like it informs of how it does it on my 3DS download version of that game on the Game Boy Color. And hopefully I'm also able to join that game again, but this time I'm really hoping for, like, fixing the inventory item system. So even then though, because, you know, it has, like, limited amount of buttons on the Game Boy Color system, because all you have to really deal with is you know, the usual D-pad, and especially noticeable with, or directional pad if you really want to call it those. So even then, as well as the A and B buttons, and especially noticeable with the start and select buttons, and that's the only buttons you get able to work with for, not only for the Game Boy Color, but also, the original Game Boy as well. So, just want to classify that, so. Alright, so let's go ahead and just let the Bullet Bill bust out of this cage here. And sure enough, we get ourselves yet another power star from that particular point. In this case, this will be the secret mission, as far as you guys can clearly tell on screen. So, even though there's not much else to really say about it here. So, anyways though, let's go ahead and do some nice little wall climbing stuff, or in this case, wall jumping stuff like this. And let's get out of here, and, well, just manage to end things off at this point here. So, because again, there's not much else I could really talk about this at this point, because even then I've already mentioned about several news and updates in here and there. So even then though, it looks like I managed to discuss upon a lot of things for this point today, so pretty cool stuff. So that I digress. So yeah, join me next time on Let's Play Super Luigi Galaxy. Is the fact that hopefully we're also able to grab some more power stars on the bedroom dome, and something completely different is about to happen during the likes events at some point in this Wednesday, but I will mention more on that as soon as we get to that point. So yeah, that's as far as I can say. So yeah, see you guys next time for that. Later, fellas.